Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
So vision, mission, and purpose. How many of you, and if you raise your hand, and so for those of you online, you know you got that reaction button, so raise your hand on the computer. But don't go like this, like really raise your hand so I can see it. So how many of you have been a client or received services from an organization or company that has a clear either vision, purpose, or mission in any form, sometimes variation. Sometimes they're all together, there's separate ones, there's just one. But in some variation, you have used the services of a company or organization that has a clearly stated vision, mission, and or purpose. And who's experienced that? Pretty much everyone, Jim Coker says. How many of you felt that maybe not always, but some of the time it made a significant impression on you for a positive reason? I'm just having you mirror me. I'm not. I'll raise my hand for all of them. How many of you always feel that there's a significant positive impact from reading someone's vision, mission, or purpose? Some people. So that's a lot less. That was very few. But there are a few. And by the way, I have no agenda in this. I'm not looking for an answer. I should have said my intention. My intention in asking these questions is so you start thinking about it for yourself. How much does this matter in your world, vision, mission? Because if you don't, and I would say, I'm going to do a little thing that I heard that I love. So this year we're going on a treasure hunt, and I was listening to Arthur Brooks, the Harvard professor he's a social scientist, and he's just come out a book. He's been doing this for decades, but his recent book is on the pursuit of happiness, and he teaches a happiness course at Harvard. And one of the things I heard him say was the way he looks at it, there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's the entrepreneur that invents things, and there's the entrepreneur who discovers things. And he said, for instance, the example he used was, did Steve Jobs invent the iPhone, or did he discover the iPhone? And he said, for his perspective, life is way more interesting in the discovering, that his belief is that there's already this essence before creation, and that our entire journey is about the discovery of that essence. So in asking these questions, it's not to get to a pre-planned answer. Is just to be on the discovery process of where you are around this idea of vision, purpose, and mission. So how many of you actually worked in a company or an organization or participated actively in a company or organization that had a clearly written vision, purpose, and or mission statement? Wow, most of you. And for how many of you was it a somewhat positive experience? Somewhat. And how much of it was clearly a positive experience? Great. And again, you're just thinking about it. I'm not going for answers, just the reason why I have you put your arm up or down, because a lot of times it's not yes or no, or there's nuance, but the point is to get your mind thinking about it. When was it helpful? When wasn't it helpful? What companies has it made a difference in? What companies didn't? And why? Why was it? Sometimes it feels really powerful and other times it doesn't. So we're going to look at this not in terms for the Lighthouse community. I'm going to talk about that later, like in a month or two. But today I want to talk about it in terms of you, because you can have the organizational one, but it's so important on this spiritual journey, as we heard today in the reading, that our journey is about self-responsibility. So what I love about this spiritual progressive world is there's no one doing it for you. We don't live by proxy for anyone else. I'm not creating your vision, mission, and purpose. I think in some spiritual traditions there's an intermediary. We don't believe in an intermediary. It's all right here inside of you, and that you're the one who is responsible to discover what that is for you. So we're going to look at this from not with, again, I don't have an agenda of what your answers are, but for your own self-discovery. And does it help? So I'm going to just say by the way, after service and online, it's a great conversation to have with each other. When have mission statements helped you in companies or in your own life, and when haven't they? Because I find we learn a lot. So when I was at Agape, they had a purpose statement that everyone said every week. And there was a line that hooked me, because I had been basically in classes from nursery school until I was 32 years old. So I've done a lot of reading and all that kind of academic things. And so they had a line in there, it's worded differently now, but at the time it said we are not just about the theoretical understanding of principles, but through the active practice of it in our everyday life. That hooked me. Simply, we are here for God. Because in a lot of times when you're just learning stuff, and I had been in school for so long, you can just learn and learn and learn and learn, but it's the practice that brings it alive. So that was a purpose statement that hooked me, and I loved saying it, and I loved being in a community that said, oh, we're about living this every day. That charged me up. Conversely, maybe because I've been in this spiritual but not religious world for so long, I actually read a lot of mission purpose statements that don't do much for me, because they all sound the same. They feel sort of sterilized. We're here to love one another. It's beautiful, but if it's so that starts saying, well, how does it come alive? Like, how is it just like not nice words? We just say a lot of nice words that we string together to something that actually means something. So as you're looking for your own life, mission, purpose, and I'll define them as I understand them: vision, purpose, mission. How does it just become like an exercise to do, and you just like write a lot of nice words, to something that actually animates and excites you? That when you read it and it's clearly visible in your home, you write it out, whatever, and you can smush them all together and make it one statement. You can, however you want to do it, because it's yours, but it brings you alive. Like every time you read it, it just goes straight to you, like, yes, like that's what I'm here for. That's why I'm on this planet. So that's what we're going for, and that's going to be different for everyone. So just to define the terms, and I want to say this is complicated, because years ago when we were looking at creating a statement this is back in 2013 or 14, we were wanting to create a statement for our center. So I put on the minister's listserv, how do you define vision, purpose, and mission? And everybody had different answers. It got very confusing. And everyone had different answers because every different company defines these. It's amazing how many different definitions that people use. So I'm going to define how I understand, after all the things, how I have come to understand it, but I recognize that the way you understand it might be completely different, your experience might be completely different. So use what works for you always, but it's just to give us today some common ground of what I'm talking about. So the way I understand vision is how it feels, how it looks, feels when it's completed. So that's the vision, like you see it and you see it done. It's not something that's becoming. A vision isn't something that's becoming. It's already done, and you get that already doneness. And so when you see it or think about it, it brings you alive. Like that's a vision that excites me. It's a compass. Sorry. It's a compass. Can you hear me? Okay. It's a compass, what you say, like your North Star, that when you see that, you're working towards that all of the time. Now, you can have personally a vision for your relationships, your finances, your work life. You can create a lot of small vision statements, but today I'm not asking you to look at a vision for just your life as a whole. You can look at a vision for what is it for the next year, but I'm asking to look at your life as a whole, your entire life. What is the vision for your entire life? Not just for a month, not just for a year. What is the vision for your entire life? That's a big one. So as you get to the end of your life, what do you want to see, feel, and know? The next one is purpose. Purpose is the why. Why is that vision important? What I have discovered, because no one taught me this, I'm sure it was out there, but I didn't figure it out until later, that this purpose, the why, is really important. The thing about a vision, if it's a true vision, it's going to change you. When you arrive at that vision and have fulfilled, and we're going to talk about what that even means, you're going to be a different person than you are right now. Which means you are going to have to let stuff go, and you're going to have to become things that are brand new. So there's a lot of unfamiliarity on this journey of becoming, on fulfilling your vision, which means there's going to be some difficult challenges that are very personal. These aren't intellectual challenges, like when you get a problem and it's personal. The whole point of a vision is you are becoming something, and so if you're going to become something new, that means you're going through some alchemical processes internally to shift, not just for a moment, not for just a peak experience, but as a way of being on the planet. Not an entirely different person. You're not going to become but inwardly. If you don't know your why, those difficult situations will be unsustainable. There's no, okay, that's the vision, it was cool, but now it's gotten so hard, or the challenges are so much, I can let that vision go because I'm not really into the whole thing. But if you know the why of your vision and you feel that why deeply, you will be willing to go through those difficult challenges, which might be for a day or might last for years. Again, with my son who is in sports, I hear all these stories all the time of athletes who've gone through so much, and yet they're willing to keep persevering. Why? Because they have a vision that they really want to accomplish and matters and is more important to them than all the uncomfortable and discomfort. The thing that always shocks me, and I'm just using this as an example for life, because I will watch sports with Jack and Julian, and I always get upset whoever loses. I just don't think I like sports because there's always I get all excited, and then the other team looks so sad. I'm like, oh, that was horrible. Look, they have to go home, and there's always a loser. And we've been watching some games where it's down to the wire, and it seems like there's always one player who screws it up for everybody. And I'm like, oh, that person, how are they going to live with this? And then I realize that happens quite a bit. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes, and it's not like they're out. They're out of the running now. They can't play anymore. And the whole, not just the team, the whole city, and then people are on TV and they're talking about how you screwed up. And I'm like, holy smokes, who would want this as a way of life? You're just taking over the coals. And I keep asking myself, what am I willing to be taken over the coals, make the big mistakes, and still go on? What matters to me that much? It's not about the negative part. It's about what matters to me that much. Who matters to me that much? Sometimes we do things for the people we love, or people that if you're cause-oriented, I don't care how hard it is, I'm going to help this group of people because it matters to me that much. What matters to you that much? That vision for your life should matter to you that much. That's why it brings you alive. It should matter to you that much. So when you see it, you're like, this is what my life is about, no matter what. And so that why, and then being clear on why it matters to you so much helps you through the discomfort. So that's the purpose. The purpose is the why of the vision. The mission is how you, again, this is how I understand it, is the mission is the work that it takes to fulfill that vision. It's the action plan. So the mission can be very long and involved. Here's the structures, here's the things you're going to do, but it also can be very clear and to the point of, say, well, I'll give some example spiritually, but anything that you want to do, you're going to be a kind person. You're going to practice one random act of kindness every day. You're going to practice, if generosity and kindness for the entire universe, I'm going to practice giving unconditionally every day in some form or fashion to expand my generosity and my love. I want to expand in gratitude, so I'm going to write. So gratitude would be part of your mission statement, expressing gratitude, expressing generosity. So does that make sense about your mission statement is the sort of the action of the vision. The vision is the being state. The mission is the doing state. And the why is, someone said have, I didn't really like that, but it's the intensity, I would say, of just this is what matters to me, so I'm going to do the action and I'm going to go through it. It's so important. I guess it's the motor that keeps you going when times get tough. When, I have to be generous, but I don't feel like I have anything today. I'm not going to be generous today. Oh no, remember my why. Why am I doing this? Even when it's uncomfortable, I'm going to be generous. So to make this a little less abstract, we're going to do a very quick exercise, and it's going to be, for those of you who know me, it's going to be very different from how we normally would do this. And there's a reason why I'm doing it this way. So what I'm going to ask you to do, we're going to spend 1 minute in silence for each of the questions. I'm going to ask you, you're each asking of yourself, what is the vision for my life? And you could say, what is the vision for your life? Or you could say, what is my vision? But we have 1 minute. So you're not getting into a big meditative, I'm receiving. You are going to imagine. You are going to create it yourself. You're not waiting on anything. You're just saying, whatever comes to you, this is what you want to have for your vision. This is what I want to have for my purpose. This is my why. This is my mission. So you're not thinking about it. It's very spontaneous. It's very stream of consciousness. You're just going to go, 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 okay? We'll anchor in connecting with our true inner self, but then once the question, I'm going to actually time it, so it's going to be 1 minute for each. And the intention is not this isn't your answer. It's a beginning. Well, actually, I didn't ask this question, and I don't want anyone to raise your hands, but just for your own inner awareness, because I want to acknowledge for people who, what I want to ask is just answer the question within, who already knows what your vision and or purpose and or mission is, and is it clearly written out in your home and something you visit on a daily or very regular basis? So if you have those, this is just a continuing on. This is like, you're just revisiting it. You don't have to change it. I'm not asking you to change it, but just revisiting it. For those of you who don't, which I'm guessing most people don't, which is great, being a blank slate is great, you just get to play. So we're on a discovery process. Doesn't have to be right. This isn't, when you leave here, you don't have to have the answer. We are on a treasure hunt. We are on a journey of discovery. This is just getting us out the gate. Thinking of the 3 questions very fast. And I also want to say something about speed. Because this is something, actually, we're also working on our prayer. We have a short 1-word or 1-sentence prayer that we're working on saying throughout our day. And there's different ways to go about it. And sometimes I was talking about like going slowly and really feeling it. But sometimes what I've noticed with myself is if I go really slowly, I can go too slowly and I start thinking about a lot of other things. And what I learn creates focus is to go fast. Like then I'm focused. And I learned that in speed reading. My dad was a speed reader, so he's teaching me how to speed read. And you just go down, and it's amazing. He said you actually retain more when you speed read because you're so hyper-focused. You can't speed read and start thinking about other things. You can't lose. That's why when they say if you have something to do, give a busy person doesn't have time to go, no, busy person, like, you got to be on it. Right, Jerry? You got to stay. You got to go. So speed reading, so this is like a speed process. We're going like this. And the only way you're going to get something is if you're totally focused, because a minute is very fast. So we'll be on to the next question. So this is hyper-focus, and that's good. Sometimes. So we're claiming the goodness of it. All right, so you ready? Is everyone ready for this? Okay. So first I'm just going to anchor, so everyone is anchoring into their divine self, and then when I ask the question, I will start the time, start the watch. Okay. You ready online, by the way? Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming you said yes. So we breathe in and breathe out. And I first just want you to find the pace of your own breathing. And I want you to connect with your breathing in a place in your body that just fits you, that can anchor the breath. So as we ask each question, you can stay anchored in your breath in some part of your body that resonates with you right now, in this moment. We're connecting with the deepest part of ourself, with our highest love intelligence of the universe, that is ourself. And we have the breath, whatever pace that you're at, and then just stream of consciousness, what comes to you to create, we're going to begin. So we are each individually asking ourselves right now, what is my vision for my life? Or what is the vision for my life? Whatever you prefer. What is my vision for my life? What is the vision for my life? What is my purpose for the vision for my life? What is my purpose for the vision for my life? What is my mission for my life? What is my mission for my life? And so we just bring it to a close by, again, reacquainting ourselves with our breath, anchoring anything that we really loved that came through. We don't have to hold on to it. We're just aware of it, our vision, our purpose, and our mission. And for our creative joy, we just say, thank you, God. We release it, we let it be, and we say together, and so it is. How does that feel? Y'all are very quiet. You got very deep quickly, I guess, huh? Woo! Did you like it? No? It's a little. Did it feel? Did it energize you at all? Hopefully, it gave you some energy because you're the one creating it. So hopefully, we're creating something that excites you. So we have this wonderful thing called the vision, purpose, and mission. And we have this wonderful tool called our incredible, not just our own imagination, but a self-awareness that we get to co-create who we want to be. Now we bring in the spiritual dimension. So, and many of you know that that's really what I focus on a lot, which is listening for what is my vision, what is my what is my purpose, what is my mission. And so the listening is saying what we heard at the very beginning of the reading today is that there's a divine idea that's greater than us, that has a vision for our life. That's what Arthur Brooks was saying. There's already an essence, and it's calling us. It's got our name on it, and it's calling us, and we listen to it. And we open to it because sometimes it will reveal, when I say it will reveal something beyond what we would imagine, it's not like I'm going to open up and say, what's the vision for my life? And I'm suddenly at age 60 going to get a concert pianist. You know, it's not wacko. It's very in tune with who you already are, but it's bigger than who you are. And it might show a different dimension that you of your own imagination may not have come up with. So part of this journey is to recognize that they're both really important, our self-creation and listening. If we're just listening and we're not clear on what we want, then that's where we start to feel like a victim. Like, oh, Spirit told me to do this. It's not really what I want to do, but I did it. So I talk a lot about how hard the vision was to be a minister. But to be clear, I was already living my life for God for 3 years by the time I got that vision. And I wasn't at that time when I got it. I never thought pulpit ministry, so I didn't have any resistance to it because I'm like, well, I love God. It makes sense. And I just thought I'd be a minister. You know, I had my own ideas of what that meant, so it gave me just a little bit enough so I kept going. So from that place to 9 years later being a pulpit minister, I went through a big transformation, but I couldn't see that at the beginning. But the vision had pulled out of me things that I never knew existed inside of me, but it started with something that was I already loved. So when we're opening to Spirit's vision for our life, it's doing it because it loves us. It all comes from love, and it knows what we love. It's not going to make me, and it's not going to show me the things that were a struggle. It's going to say, you should feel a joy with what Spirit's calling you and with what you ask of yourself. There should be a resonance there. And so then the question, is there a resonance with what, as you're asking, what is Spirit's vision for my life and what is my vision, is there a resonance? People say, well, sometimes because I also hear people, well, I ask all the time and I don't get anything. That's fine. Keep following your vision because Spirit's going to step in if Spirit is part of your vision, if Spirit is part of your mission, if Spirit is part of your purpose. So one of the things I want to offer, to just bring up, and maybe all of you had this come up, but if not, just suggesting it, since we are on a spiritual journey as spiritual beings, I'm assuming you all are familiar with words like enlightenment, nirvana, non-duality, nirvaka samadhi. I never said it out loud before. Nirvakalpa samadhi. Do you know? So anyways, enlightenment. You heard enlightenment? Right. So a lot of times when we think about what our vision is for our life, we think of this world. So I said, oh, you have a vision for money or your relationships or just being a generous person, but those are all sort of things in this world. That's what we would call the creative process, which is very fun. But there's also this thing called the ascension process, part of the spiritual journey, and that's about pure ascension, about waking up. That's a Buddhist term, waking up. That's a term for nirvana. in term for enlightenment, for non-duality. There's all these different paths. And so the question is within your own vision for your life, purpose, and mission, do you feel a strong call to become enlightened? Like, is that part of your spiritual passion? It's just an interesting question. Because I find often we focus a lot on this world, but we forget how important that other world is. And that takes as much time and intention and as work as anything in this world. So is being enlightened? And then the question is, and I say that because that was one of my intentions when I was in classes. I kept saying, well, because Yogananda was my teacher, and everything was about God or self-realization. He called it self-realization fellowship, but you call it God realization. So I was always like, every treatment, I want to be God realized. And I kept being told, no, you have to want things in this world. I don't want things in this world. I want to be God realized. So that was always I had a piece of paper, and all of those things that I wanted were and I still can see it. It was by my bed. I read it every day. But here's the thing about enlightenment and about anything that's a vision. It's not static. There's no end point. So I've had various visions, and they were of this world, like being a minister, being married, being a mom. That all came to me. I didn't ask for that. These were actually came from others. So I will never forget the moment where I was sitting in church. Jack was there. I was holding Julian as a new mom, trying to do ministry and holding the baby. It was very confusing. And I thought, oh my gosh, all 3 visions have been fulfilled. I've done it. I've arrived. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a letdown. Meaning, I had spent so many years going towards that vision, and now I had completed it. Now what? What I have since discovered, and then during that time I got another vision, which is sort of an umbrella for all the other visions, and I recognize, there's so many layers to these visions. For anyone who's practiced mindfulness meditation, that's when you watch. Like if you have pain in your body, have you ever done this, and you just observe the pain? Have you ever done that? You just observe. It's a witness. So you're witnessing. If you can do it with emotions too. Emotions, pain. You're just witnessing it. You're not having any reaction to it. And what you'll find is it moves. Like, oh man, this pain in my knee hurts so much. And if you just sit there and it starts moving around. Like it's not solid. We're energy. So this idea that a vision is something solid and static is an untruth. It's moving, it's deepening, there's layers. The vision that I also got within that period, 25 years I've been working on it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is definitely a lifetime. Because I keep thinking, I think I've arrived to it, and then it moves. It keeps shifting. I'm like, oh, I'm not there yet. It's like the carrot that you never get. In fact, I was watching the Boston Marathon one time when I was in Boston, and the guy had a hat on with a wire, with a carrot in front of him, and he was just running after it the whole time. That was hilarious. So and even there was a magazine called What is Enlightenment? And it was by Andrew Cohen, who gave people, through his practices, experiences of bliss and spiritual enlightenment. But he was also saying, it's not this solid thing that you think about. That in fact, even if, as they brought different spiritual traditions, lineage holders, and had them experiencing these higher states, they weren't all the same. There were subtle differences, and there's so much to this universe. So to ever think that, enlightenment is a state. See, I used to think this. There's an enlightenment state, and when I'm there, I'm done. So I want to get to that state, and I want to get there as fast as I can. And it moves, it changes, it shifts. And it's also something, just so you know, if you bring this into your vision, purpose, and mission, it's very difficult. It's the most difficult thing you can want. So Michael Beckwith is such an interesting example because he's so different than most people. For those of you who know his story, he shares it quite a bit. He was murdered in a dream. For years, he was chased by these guys. I don't know if years, but he was chased by these guys in these dreams all the time, and he was running from these always. And finally, in one of the dreams, they caught up with him. 2 guys held him down, where the other guy took a knife and stabbed him in the heart. And he said, if you imagine how painful that is, that's how painful it was in the dream. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm just watching it, I'm not feeling it. He said, it was excruciating. I was dead in the dream. I woke up, and it was like he was in heaven, but he was still on earth. And everything around him was what he called love beauty. Love beauty was just in awe. And then he started looking around at different meditation practices and learning to sustain this state of consciousness. But it was pretty permanent because he had been killed. And ever since then, he continues to learn and grow. And mostly what he's had to learn is how to live in the human world. My favorite story, I think I've mentioned, because it's just every time it cracks me up, is you're in such a vastness. You're so much beyond your body, mind, understanding. He said, I didn't know how to get into a car because I didn't know where my head stopped, and I kept hitting my head against I go, oh no, there's my head. Like he didn't know where his body stopped and something else began. I think that gives a good visual of that enlightened state. The solidness isn't there. But that is an extremely rare experience. Most of us have to go through that death process while we're living, and it's elongated. You're not just like stabbed in the heart and it's over. My bet is he did a lot of work in other lives or whatever it takes, a lot of mystery of why that happened. So this is something I've learned, I've seen it. I had a student who said absolutely claimed enlightenment, and then her life fell apart. Because to want enlightenment means you have to let go of a lot of stuff. You're dying to a lot of stuff. It is not Harriet focused anymore. It's not about what I want. For instance, Michael talks about how he heard a voice or presence came to him. I can't remember how he totally describes this presence. But the presence told him, and this is after he went through prac training, and he got Nirvana doing these agape love workshops. You're doing the spiritual work. Again, these things don't come out of the blue. It wasn't like he was now he'd had his enlightenment experience, he's living it. And this vision that you have to become a minister, and he was told that if you do not do this, there's no point for you to even be on earth. Like, this is why you are here. That's like, you're not living for yourself anymore. And I remember Mary Mann Morrison saying the same thing. She was quoting another spiritual teacher who said, if you're not living your purpose, that puts a lot of pressure on your purpose. And then, because if you're not living it, that's why you're here. But then you have Ramana Maharshi who says, it doesn't matter, you don't have to worry about your purpose, you're going to live it no matter what. Which is the joy of discovery. What does that mean for you to live your life for the divine? And is it already done? And do you already know what it is? Does it matter if you know or don't know it? These are all questions you get to answer, and I get to answer. And we're in this journey of discovery, of going on a treasure hunt, because the joy of the journey is the discovery. Arthur Brooks was using the example of adventurers. I can't remember which, I think it was Lewis and Clark. He said they knew that they were going towards something really cool, and they were willing to go through all this stuff in the unknown because they were going towards something great. And so the only reason why you go through it is because you know you're going towards something, and you're experiencing the greatness along the way. It's not just at the end. The divine presence, this vision that you have for your life, is with you fully already. That's how we learn that there's no time and space. So every time you're tapping into that vision, you're actually experiencing it in the present moment. So you can experience the human hardship, but the whole time you're experiencing human hardship, you have this infinite light and love that is right there holding all of it. I remember I had this conversation. It was just the two of us with Michael, and it's around 96, or I don't remember, 96. And he was really going through it. And he never talked about it from the pulpit, but it was just a conversation we were having. Because he had the opportunity, he was in this movie called The Secret, for those of you who know, in the book, and that's really when he propelled into fame. He was well known. It was still a mega church of a couple thousand, but nothing that happened after he was in The Secret. So he had a lot of opportunities. As you may see, a lot of spiritual teachers, they just are on the circuit. They go to all the conferences, they teach these classes, and now it's online. But before, they would travel around. And he was getting all these offers, and you make a lot of money. And Agape at that point was paying rent on 3 different spaces. They had to finish paying the rent in the old space. The new space wasn't yet made. They were still doing construction. They were paying rent and doing construction for that. And then they had to pay money for the places they were renting to do services. You had to call up every single Sunday and Wednesday. Where's service today? That's when he called us a mobile blessing unit, because you just called up. You didn't know where the service was going to be. So they're paying rent on wherever they're doing the service. It was the money going out was just psh, and the pressure, and people were I was just getting on the staff, and there was discontent. I was new, but the people had been there. They hadn't had raises in a couple years, and there's just a lot of unsettledness. And he was just saying, "Man, I could just let all this go and just work on a circuit. There's so many people who want to hear me. I have lots of money, and I just wouldn't have to deal with all the challenges." But that voice said, "There's no point for you to be here unless you do this church." So today, he's still on he's really embraced being on the circuit, but he does everything that he can to come back to Agape every single Sunday to do service. He continues to nurture this community, even though it would be so much easier for him not to do it. Thousands of people with 1,000 different personalities and wants and needs. It's a lot to do that. And he said his assistant keeps a schedule, and he said, "I have no idea where I'm going to be every day. I just wake up and she tells me where to go. I just go." He said, I couldn't, if someone showed me my schedule, I would completely fall apart because it's so overwhelming. I just live moment to moment to moment. And guess what? There's not him in there. He's not saying, "Oh, I need a vacation," or "I need to go do this." It's, I'm of service, 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 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what an enlightened life looks like. It is total commitment. So then I have to ask myself, where do I fall in that? I want to go on a vacation. I want to have a personal life apart from service, service, service. Am I willing to completely let all my own needs go? And I don't think everyone's supposed to be doing what he's doing. So it's not that that's the right answer to what enlightenment looks like. This is my point. There's no set thing. Then if you say you want enlightenment, what does it look like for you? That's why it was important for you to say, what is my vision? My vision, what I humanly want, because I wanted enlightenment. That's never come from Spirit. Spirit has not confirmed that desire for me. But they work together. I have my desires, God's giving me that vision, and they work together. So on this process of the treasure hunt, on this process of discovery in your life right now, you got a very quick stream of conscious idea of what your vision, what you would like for yourself, what you would like to see your purpose to be, or the why of your vision and the mission. Like for me, prayer is part of the essential vision of ministry for me. That's going to be the rest of my life. I know it. It's not changing. There's times when you know that you know that you know, and I stay with it. But it grows and it shifts of what that means. What are those answers for you? When you leave here today, talk with your people in your life. Talk with each other. Talk about how, is this even important to you? And if it is important to you, what excites you about it? The most important thing is, because ultimately, and some of you will already know and have it written up by the end of the week, because you're good at things like this. For me, it's a long time. But once you have it, the vision, the purpose, the mission, and you can condense it all in one statement, however works for you, but whatever that is, when you read it, the important thing is, does it bring you alive? Does it make you want to be better? Like, do you want to grow and fulfill it? Or is it just like words, like nice words? Like I love everyone, but that doesn't bring me alive. The mission will bring me alive to make loving everyone come alive. So does the statement bring you alive? Does it bring you joy? And does it make you want to be a better person? Because if it's just nice words, it doesn't matter. It's just nice words on a refrigerator. Does it bring me alive? Does it go straight into my soul? Does it make me want to be a better person? Does it grow me? Do I feel more alive? So that's part of our treasure hunt. Y'all up for it? It's an adventure, and we're going to be on it together. Collectively, we'll do that later in another month. But this month, I really want you to focus on your own journey because it's the beginning of the year. Vision, purpose, and mission. What's your why? What's your life about? And how important is your spiritual life in that vision, purpose, and mission? I have nothing else to say. Is that how you're supposed to end talks? Yeah, I have nothing else to say. I heard when I took my first speech class, they're like, don't ever say thank you at the end of talk. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to say something very clever, and you all laugh. So just pretend I said something really clever. Just laugh. Okay, let's pray. So we just find that beautiful breath that each one of us is. Find your own rhythm. And the glorious miracle is that even as we find our own rhythm, that behind that rhythm is this power of oneness that is animating all of us, that is animating all of our beautiful, unique rhythms. This presence of love is so beyond anything we could ever fully imagine as any one person. It transcends everything that we think that we know, and yet includes everything that we know. This love envelops even every one of us fully, physically, emotionally, mentally, energetically. Those things we like about ourselves, those things we don't like about ourselves, we don't need to earn it, we don't need to deserve it. It is freely given every moment of every day. This love is alive, it is active, it is passionate, it cares deeply, it creates. It brings into life new ideas that have never been experienced in this world and yet are fully orbed in spirit. This love is extraordinary. It is healing. It is transformative. And as we embrace and know that we are each and every one of us this beautiful, healing, transformative, creative love, we bring that healing energy and our light to the members of our community who are going through transformation even now, who already know the challenges of this path. And we as a community, as a collective, hold in our heart all of them, all of the prayer requests that we have received. And we give a special blessing to Doug, his mother Laura, his two sisters, and Dan. As Doug has transitioned to the other side of the veil, we hold the entire family in the love, the tenderness, the infinite compassion right now in this beautiful healing light, knowing that this healing light and this healing love is beyond anything that we of our own selves can do, and we just surrender into this oceanic love, wave after wave after wave after wave, infinite love, pouring itself into this beautiful family that knows no death. Love knows no death. And if you are holding any people or persons or animals in your life that have transitioned, I ask us to just hold that in prayer, all of the transitions, because life never ends. And we hold in our hearts the healing light, the healing love, the ever-present connection for all those on the other side of the veil that are with us right here and right now. There is never any separation. For as we say yes to our vision, we are that wonderful healing light for ourselves, for all those we love, and for this planet that needs this embodied love, this active love, this passionate love, this very alive love. Not love by rote, but love that is active and unique and expressive and creative and tangible and felt in every moment of every day, for that is who we are. And so for all of the good and all of the joy and the freedom and the peace and the abundance, all that fills the vision for our life, that fills the purpose of our life, that fills the mission of our life, I just say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Into this love we surrender and we let it be, knowing it is infinitely good for all eternity. As we say together, and so it is. Amen and amen.
I walk in God in all